Hey mama, you're more than enough. Hey mama, stand tall, you've given so much. You gave your all, now it's time to shine. You've been in the shadows, now step in the light. Rediscover your voice, take back your name. You're not just a mom, your power, your flame. From tired to thriving, from silence to song. With YDC you belong. Let's start living, rise again. You are more than just a pain. Confident, bold, unashamed. Your discovery coach, remember the name. You're strong, you're seen, you're free to dream. YDC, 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 remember the name. Hey mama, you're more than enough. Hey mama, stand tall, you've given so much. You gave your all, now it's time to shine. You've been in the shadows, now step in the light. Rediscover your voice, take back your name. You're not just a mom, your power, your flame. From tired to thriving, from silence to song. With YDC you belong. Let's start living.
Hey mamas, let's start living, rise again. Thank you so much for joining me on another Friday Live. So glad to be here with you. My name is Debbie. If you haven't met me before, my name is Debbie, and I'm your discovery coach, founder of Your Discovery Coach. I help women, or I create spaces where women can feel safe, feel seen, feel loved. Yeah, just come closer and feel my love. Yes. So thank you so much for joining me on another Friday Live. I don't take your time for granted. And today, we are going to be talking about the inner seat of authority, where your actions take direction. Today is not about a hype conversation. I'm not going to try and be hyping us. I'm not going to be, trying to, say much. Just going to be a short one. But it's just something I want us to think about. It's something that, should spark your thoughts, should spark you thinking, should spark you on, your thoughts. Just where are things coming from? Where do I, why do I behave the way I do, etc. Just it's a thinking conversation, more like. So I'm going to be asking questions. I'm going to be, raising conversations that you may have thought of before, you may not have thought of before, you may have thought of it, but not in the way that I will say it, and that's okay. I always say to my kids that one thing we should never stop doing is never stop learning, right? So even if you've heard something before, someone saying it can present it in another way you have never even thought, in another angle that you have not even thought about. So just come forward, come closer with an open heart, and let's have these conversations together. Yes, let's go. Today is not about parenting techniques. It's not about routines. I'm not asking you to do routines. I'm not asking you about discipline. I'm not asking you, are you self-disciplined? No, not all of that. Today is something I found very critical in the things that I do as a person, as a woman, as a mother, as a wife, as a business owner. Very critical. Where does my life, or where does life, or where's your life interpreted from? Where's my life interpreted from? Where's your life interpreted from? If you stay with me, we'll get there. But a lot of times, the things that we do are interpretations. They are not necessarily, this is how I am-ish. Our minds, our brains are interpreting actions, they're interpreting behaviors, they're interpreting life. Where's your life being interpreted from? Where exactly is your life being interpreted from? And like I said earlier, it's a thinking conversation. It's not a conversation for blame. It's not a conversation for you to feel judged. It's not a conversation for you to start to, have guilt and all that. No, it's not a conversation for that. It's a conversation that helps you to think. So next time you go out to do something, or next time you feel somehow, or next time you feel in a certain type of way, you remember that there's somewhere that your life is interpreting from. That's what we're going to be talking about, the inner seat of authority. And when I say authority, I'm not talking about something that, was deliberately formed by you. When I say the inner seat of authority, I'm not saying something that was deliberately formed by you. Sometimes, especially when you start to get intentional about how you live your life, you understand where these things are coming from. Sometimes it's just automatic, very automatic. You don't even know that there's a certain way that you're thinking. And sometimes some people don't know it, some people are aware. So awareness is a gift. I keep saying that awareness is a gift because it helps you, to stop the trajectory. If your life is not going the way it wants to go. Hello, Ngozi. Thank you for joining me. I really am so grateful to have you here. So if your life is going on a certain trajectory and you don't like the way it's going, right? Whether you know it or not, there's a seat that decides how your life feels. So there's something that interprets something on the inside of you. And it's something, like I said, you may not have been the one to. It's a variety of factors, right? You may not even know where it's coming from, but you may know. And that's why I always talk about awareness in my programs. Your actions don't struggle because you are weak. I want you to take that home. They struggle because they are answering a story. I remember when I started my Becoming Her program, the second cohort, I told them to write down their stories and then hear me out. This is why it was so important. There's so many stories that we live from, so many stories that have formed us, so many stories that our brain also tries to protect because that's how the brain feels safe. What is familiar, what feels safe. So we've told ourselves stories, or we've heard stories that have seeped into our subconscious and we don't understand where it is. We're not even thinking about it. So there's this particular story that, let's talk about stories, right? There's this particular story that I grew up, hearing. Oh, being a mom is hard. It might not have been said explicitly. Hear me out. Being a mom is hard. I didn't kill my mother. You won't kill me. Things like that. These things are just, your brain takes it in and starts to assume, okay, now I'm a mom. What am I supposed to expect? I'm supposed to expect life to be hard. I'm supposed to expect that, I need to, be yell at my kids. I need to find it hard. You hear women, loads of women say things like, marriage is not easy. Oh, that's how men are. So you start to hear narratives, cultural narratives. I'm still going to go there, but I just want to give an example of stories. You start to live in the cultural stories, or in the stories your culture permits. Women should not be seen, they should be heard. Oh, children should, learn how to sit quiet, to be, children don't have a voice. These are stories. Your brain starts to take them, starts to seep into your subconscious. So as you become a mother, as you become, a wife, as you become, you're, you find how resistant you are. Sometimes your husband doesn't even mean a certain thing in a certain way, but your own interpretation makes you resistant towards your husband, towards your children, towards how you take parenting, towards how you take motherhood. So you find that internal resistance and you don't know where it's coming from. You want to be a nice, loving, supportive, whatever it is. But there's a story that your brain has found and it has settled in it. So every time you want to move forward, you find out that your actions and your intentions are not, they don't sync. What stories is your life being interpreted from? What stories have you heard? What stories have you gathered? What stories are you living in, even without knowing? Because your actions don't struggle because you are weak. A lot of times, a lot of us deal with so much. And this past 4 weeks in January, I've realized that there's an identity to sit in, that the things that you're struggling with will no longer be a struggle. So for instance, I want to go to the gym. I don't know why I always use that example. I work out at home because I feel like the commute to the gym is going to take the small time that I have. So I work out at home. I have our gym equipment. So I have my treadmill, but I love my gym because one day when the kids are older and they can stay at home themselves, I'm back in there. I love that. I love that environment. Anyway, so I want to go to the gym, for instance. I'm going to use that example, my most favorite example. but I have never really seen myself as a fit person, right? I have never really identified as a fit person. So I struggle, right? I'm struggling because my identity and my actions they're not in sync. So you struggle because you've not yet identified yourself with what it means to be a good, the stories that you've heard are kind of keeping you in a loop or keeping you in a struggle. I can't be consistent. I am overwhelmed. Oh, it's not easy. Everybody in Nigeria is managing. Oh, this. Nobody has a good marriage. Oh, don't mind all people on social media. That's how they pretend. Everybody quarrels. Everybody fights. Yes, people quarrel, but there are people who have learned to build their marriages, not, you know, even though there's disagreement. But you see, the mind likes to fixate on what it knows, and then it becomes your story. What stories did you have with your parents growing up? What stories did you find in their own marriage or in the home that you grew up? What emotional climate did you grow up in? I heard so much. Oh, teenagers, in fact, not so much. When you're talking to people who have teenagers here around me, they always say that, oh, teenage years are the worst ever. Am I taking that as my own story? Am I interpreting it as my own story? Because when my brain latches onto that, so that's why, last week I said, what kind of post resonates with you? These days I'm quick to mute or block. I don't know how the algorithm feeds, your feed, but I'm so quick to tell Meta, I don't want to see this type of conversations anymore. I'm so quick to it because you see loads of women on one thread. You've done a good thread. You yourself, you've done a good thread. You've told them about confidence, told them about it. Nobody comments. The day somebody comes and says, oh, the man ran away and then he ran away with everything that she had and he's a bad man, that day you see 6,000 comments. Why? So, last week I talked about be careful what you feed your subconscious because these things will play out. So I've heard so much, and even just saying it now, I've realized how much I've heard. Teenagers are the worst for anybody, but it's not always true. I've heard of people now who are in their 70s who said they started getting serious with their life at 13. I've heard very many stories. I've heard of people who at teenage years, they were doing great things for God or whatever it was they wanted to do. I've heard of it. So why do I latch on to the stories? What makes us latch on to those bad stories? But let's just go on. What I'm talking about today, as I've said, is your inner seat of authority. And it's not authority over people. It's not authority over children. It's not authority over meaning. It's the authority over meaning. Sorry, it's not the authority over people or children. It's the authority over meaning, over your interpretations. It's the place inside you that decides that this is hard, this is overwhelming, this is too much. Have you seen how sometimes you just start a task and then your brain already is shutting down because you think that this is so difficult, I can't do it? Somebody jokes with you and says, oh, now that you finished your master's, won't you do a PhD? You just see yourself resisting immediately. PhD is not for people like me. I can't do it. You start to resist. So that authority over meaning, what meaning have you given? I grew up seeing my aunts that I stayed with in secondary school doing a PhD for 10 years. Honestly speaking, that's been traumatized because I was like, how do you do a PhD for 10 years? Well, Nigeria and, our history. Thank you. Nigeria strikes and all that. It's just that. So before before the idea even comes to you, your brain already has a story. Can you remember that auntie that had it bad? What are the stories? So there's already a deciding factor even before you have decided that you want to do it or not. And it's very, very invisible, very automatic, very subtle. It's in your subconscious. It's in your subconscious. Your husband tells you something, you have an argument, and then the next thing you start feeling like, is he going to leave me? Is this story that's it's just an argument. You can come back and make up. But your mind starts to tell stories of how many women have left, how many men have left their wives, and how many this has happened. And it starts to go on a spiral, story, and starts to decide for you. So you react from the meaning and the interpretation that your mind gives to something. Oh, this is overwhelming. I can't do this. They've asked us to do this again. Da, 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 da. Oh, this is overwhelming. I can't do this anymore. If I one day, I used to joke with my kids, and it was honestly a joke, but she called me out. I said, I will run away. Oh. And then one day she was like, I will run away. I said, where are you running to? She said, but you always say it. I said, oh, no, 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 no. I will stop saying that. I just realized sometimes, even in our jokes, what we are feeding, what we feed, what we feed our subconscious. I said, no, no, me run away, care. You don't know how much I love you guys. I'm just joking. When I say I'll run away, it's probably to my room to go and take a break or something. But see how she was starting to interpret I will run away, and she started to say it. So that's the meaning that we live inside. When you start to think of, this is too demanding, but when you have a situation, for instance, and instead of thinking, oh, this is overwhelming, this is too much, this is that, I can't do this, how about you change your thoughts to, this is demanding, but I can manage it, I can do it. This is demanding, but how can I break it down to make it more pleasant for me? Can you see the difference? And your brain will start to look for ways. I always say to people that if you find a way, you will find it. If you find an excuse, you will find it. Whatever you are looking for, you are the one who gives your brain the command, right? Not allow your brain to go off with what it thinks. You give it a command. You tell, I'm finding this thing difficult at this time, but let's find a way to break it down and make it manageable. Let's find a way to change the language we feel about these things. For instance, this is stretching me, and there's nothing wrong with being stretched. Everyone who needs growth, everyone who wants to grow, everyone who wants to prosper, everyone who wants to do well has to be stretched. So when you take stretching, difficulty as a part of life, that this is stretching me, this is, expanding my scope of thinking, helping me to think of other creative ways to alleviate my situation, your brain expands. But when you stay in the seat of, oh, this is too much for me, this is overwhelming, this is that, then there's a problem. There's a problem. Already there's a block. And when there's a block, that's when you start to hear things like, I am so inconsistent at this. Oh, I went to the gym for 4 days and I couldn't go for the next 10 days. I am this, I am that. See, it's what you are on this side. It's the interpretations that happen on the inside. It's the interpretations that happen in your subconscious that gives legs to the things that you want to do. Whether it is, working out, whether it is being a good mom, whatever it is, what's the interpretation? What is your inner seat of authority? Where are you getting your meaning from? Where are you getting your meaning from? And I'll go back once more to your feeds. What are you feeding yourself with? Let's go on. So you can see how something comes, it's heavy, it's hard, it's stretching, but there are two mindsets. It's the same situation, but different center. It's the center that says this is too hard, and the center that says this will stretch me. Stretch is good. Let's go there. Let's see how we can break it down. You can see the one that will go further and the one that will stay there and say, I'm stuck. And that's where a lot of times being stuck comes from. So we're going to name a few narratives, even though I've done that, earlier. But I'm just going to go on and name a few narratives that, happen to us as women. And, many women are stressed in motherhood, not because motherhood is impossible, but because they have been quietly sold the narrative. It's a narrative that says motherhood is hard, motherhood drains you. Oh, I remember when I first had my first child, and I used to go to this baby center. It was as if we were competing for who will moan the loudest. I didn't even understand what those connections were doing. It was as if we're competing for who didn't sleep the longest. Every time you met someone, and I was, this is me, Nigerian and all that, and very positive. In Nigeria, everything is it is well. God, I think Nigerians are not basically dismal people, but I'm not saying anything, but I just feel, you come every time, how is that? And everybody's like, oh, and I'm like, why are we like this? So I had to start changing, changing my mind, changing what I listen to, changing my, circles. Even if these are people I physically will meet up with, but online I had, better circles, circles that empowered me, because it felt like every time you came, oh, as if we're competing for whose child did not eat the best, as if we're competing for who feels the most drained, as if you're competing. So that thing really, really, it really tells on you. So people tell you you're constantly looking tired, you're constantly this, but what are you taking in? So there's one narrative, that motherhood consumes you, consumes your life. It ruins ease. Some people say things like, you can't even have a good holiday because you're still working. You're taking your children on a holiday, maybe with your husband, but they're like, "Oh, we're not going on a holiday, we're just changing where we are working." So it's a mindset. It's a mindset that says, even though I am not in the house, I'm in a hotel, in a fancy beach and everything, I can't have fun just because I have kids. But why? So I was reading a story just before this class started, one of my favorite emails I always receive every day. I just said, okay, let me just read it. And then the lady was saying her 6-year-old asked her why she stopped singing in the house. And she said, she paused and said, "What do you mean?" Because she didn't think she understood her. She said, "Oh, mommy, you used to sing in the shower. You used to sing when you're cooking. You used to sing when silly songs. It didn't have to make any sense. But mommy used to sing a lot. What happened to you?" And she just realized that really life had been stressful and she had stopped singing. So she said that when she was doing dinner, she turned on the music and she started to sing her off key, silly songs, and her daughter's face lit up again. You can see the difference between, oh, life is full, and let me find joy even though life is full. So you can take your children on a holiday, for instance, and decide that I'm having fun. It's their fun and my fun can be mutually they can mutually exist. Because I have kids does not mean that I should kill my own ability to have fun. I know, yes, you have to watch them and all that, but you can infuse your fun in that. So motherhood, oh, traveling with a baby is so stressful. People are judging you. Let them judge. It's the interpretation that comes from just having I know so many people here who say, okay, they don't want to have children because they will them, and I don't judge them. That's fine, because it just ruins your life. And I'm like, how does being a mom ruin your life? There was a narrative that was sold. Maybe their own moms didn't, maybe they didn't feel wanted with their own moms. Maybe they saw how their own moms were broken and bruised and battered and stressed. But we can change that narrative. There's nothing, nothing, nothing. I think it's a high privilege and an honor to be called someone's mom. I think it is. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of stretching. And I agree. I'm not downplaying those stretching. But is it impossible? No. So people say these things, sometimes jokingly. You're in your friends group, or you're in a play group or something, and then people are asking things. People are just saying it jokingly. Oh, everybody is doing competition of who is suffering the most. Some people say it as a warning. They just tell you point blank, children ruin your lives, or they might not say it in the direct manner that I am saying it, but you get what I mean. Sometimes we're all trauma bonding. It's just because we're all friends, not because we're really friends. We're all friends because we're all going through the same thing. But now, what happens when all that happens? Hello, Rebecca. Thank you for joining us. And then what happens when all that happens? Your mind is not registering tone. That's the problem. Your mind is not registering tone. Your mind is registering this as truth. I remember there was a part of the Bible, I just remembered it right now, where it says, it was talking about joking. It says a fool would, say something and says I was joking. And now that I just had one insight. I understand why that part of the Bible, what that part of the Bible was saying. It's not because your words are not your words are not just words. They're power. They have life. So when you start to joke about everything being difficult, this. In fact, if you want to have a conversation here in the part of the world where I am, just talk about how dry the weather is, or how sunny it is, or how dark it is, or how raining it is. It has to be some sort of moaning. That's small talk. But is it actually helpful? Is it actually helpful? You talk about how bleak a day is. Oh, there's too much rain, there's too much sun, there's too much. It's either one thing or the other. There's no, hey, cherry, I barely hear it. Cherries, cheerful, or it's too cold. So there's this bleakness around life, and you need to be very careful. Because even though it's just small talk, small conversations, what's your mind registering it as? It's registering it as truth. Your mind does not understand I'm joking or I wasn't joking. The Bible says that in your tongue lies the power of life and death. It doesn't understand that this was just a statement. You say it, you say it, you say it, you say it. It registers it as truth. So next time you're presented with a problem, it says, "Oh no, 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 no. This is hard. Let's shut down. Brain freeze. I can't do this. I can't do this." And then you start to hyperventilate. You are not able to think clearly. And once your mind accepts something as truth, it starts to build a life around it. Let's go on. It starts to build a life around it. So your brain is not experiencing life directly. It experiences interpretation. Even before an event happens, the brain asks, what does this mean? And then the inner seat says this is hard. So your inner seat is like your inner seat is like your subconscious, right? Is your subconscious. Before your brain says, oh, what does this mean? So something is presented to you, a crying child, for instance, because of how crying has been interpreted in your own culture, in your own upbringing, in your own circles, in your own, those little talks that you have, those little talks that you had heard as a child. Why are you crying? Are you okay? Come on, stop crying, or I give you something to cry about. So now the brain now asks the subconscious, what does this mean? The subconscious says, and this thing happens without sometimes without us thinking. And that's why I tell a lot of my clients, metacognition is something that you should be doing on a regular basis. Think about your thoughts. Think about the genesis of your thoughts. Why do you think the way you think? It's not ordinary. It's not just because. Awareness is a gift. Awareness is a gift because it helps you to understand where you are coming from, and to truncate it, to truncate living on autopilot, to truncate living on a trajectory that is taking you nowhere. You have been living this way for the past couple of years. Where has it taken you? So let's go on. The subconscious says, oh, a child is crying. This is hard. We don't know how to deal with crying children. In the culture, so this is the conversations very fast. In the subconscious, oh, crying children, no, it's not something we can deal with. Da, 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 da. Let's shut down. And then you shut down. You start to ask the child, why are you crying? Same thing that was done, same things that were spoken in your circle, same things that you have seen in your feed, same things. See, your brain is looking for interpretation and your subconscious feeds it the interpretation. So that's why we need to be careful. And then now the body now starts to prepare for the struggle. So the brain sends signals to the body. Let's prepare for this struggle. And then you are angry. That's the response. Or you're upset, or you shut down, or you say, I can't deal with this. I'm running away. Let me use myself. I can't deal with this. I'm running away. Oh, no, 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 no. Come back here. Let's deal with it. That's why many women wake up tired before the day even begins. Before the day starts, motherhood is so heavy for them. So before the day starts, you're already tired. You're already stretched. You're already waking up. You're waking up with a to-do list. Stressed, tired. Has she done her homework? Has she packed her lunch? You have never really sat down, to wake up to say, thank you for a new day. I'm happy for this day. This day goes great. You put your feet on the ground. You're already in the kitchen. You're already grinding. You're already, angry, stressed. You build an emotional fortress in your home that says this is not safe. Instead of a fortress, it becomes a prison. So the dad wakes up, the mom wakes up, dad wakes up, the children wake up, then they're not finding safety around you. That's conversation for another day. But these are the things that happen. So your subconscious is feeding. That's why you need to be able to come. Let's do it in our becoming program. You need to be able to come and tell your story. Your story is so powerful, and your story also can hold you bound. You need to become and be able to break down these things. Break it down. because you would be doing yourself a disservice if you continue to live in the same way and expect a different result. Let's just go on. So when let's connect this to the action. So when your inner narrative says motherhood is overwhelming, every action feels heavy, it feels draining, it feels endless. It's not because the action itself is unbearable. Have there been great mothers? Yes. Have there been mothers who love being moms and are great at being moms? Yes. Were they ever stressed? Yes. But were they able to manage their stresses? Yes. So it's not because an action itself is unbearable, but because the lens is already heavy. It's just like, the it's just like the narrative, or the example with the tinted glass. You see a tinted glass, you look through it. Oh, my kids love using they have this little transparent thing. When the one taking orange, you look through it, the world looks orange. When the one taking blue looks through it, so they love it. They'll just go to the window. Oh, the world is orange. Oh, the clouds are orange. Oh, mommy, the clouds are sunset. Oh, mommy, oh, everywhere's purple. They love it, but that's the lens. It's the same thing. There's a lens you're using to look at life. And then when you look at life with tinted lens, with colored lens, with tinted lens, that's how that's the feedback you get. That's what you carry. So your actions are loyal, they obey the story that they are giving. And I'll tell you something. You see, when people say do your affirmations, do your declarations over your life, over your children, because your actions are loyal. You can imagine if your actions were taking a command, or taking a command from an inner life that is aware, is healed, has gone through becoming her program, and knows her story, and then knows where to truncate things fast. You can imagine what commands you're going to be giving your life, and where your life is going to be going. So your actions are loyal. Just it gives command. Oh, the subconscious tells you this thing is hard. Oh yeah, let's shut down. This thing is doable. It stretches us, but we can do it. Your brain starts to look for a way out. I was telling somebody something one day. I said, if you want something, you want it, your brain will find a way. Your mind will find a way. But already you shut it down. You said this cannot happen. I can't do this. I can't do this. I tell my children, be wary of the word can't. Anything can be learned. Anything. Any behavior can be learned. Anything can be learned. Be wary of the word can't when it comes to what you can do in life. And motherhood is also a reinforcement loop, because motherhood happens every day, which means whatever story sits in your inner seat gets reinforced every day. So motherhood is not I come today and I leave tomorrow. It's every day. You do it every day. You wake up, you're a mom. You sleep, you're a mom. You wake up, you're a mom. You sleep, you're a mom. So whatever story that sits in your inner seat gets reinforced daily. Whatever story that sits in your inner seat. So one hard moment can become proof. One tired day becomes confirmation. So let me see how let's break this down. One emotional response can become identity. So you start to say things like, oh, I told you, look, I told you I couldn't be good at this. Oh, I told you I couldn't, I couldn't do that. So the mind starts to just one moment. Oh, I failed at one thing. I failed at one day. I failed at my journaling one day. I failed. And then it takes that identity. It takes that, emotional response as an identity. So that's why, we need to be careful. It's not because it's true, but because the mind always proves the story that it lives from. So whatever you believe of yourself, whatever you believe about yourself, whatever subconsciously, you can say, oh, I believe I'm great, but what's in your subconscious? Sometimes it's so easy to just look and say, I don't think about myself this way. But when you come closer, you work with a coach, and you see how these things are broken down. You will see things that you never even know really existed. You will see them. Your mind is always looking for a way to prove the stories that it lives from. So if it lives from a story of hardship, it will prove it. It will prove it. If it lives from a story of I can't do it, it will prove it. So we need to be very careful. And let me be very clear here. This is not me saying that motherhood has no challenges. I've said that before. And that would also be dishonest to say that motherhood is just a walk in the park. It is not. It's hard work, but it's doable work. I am just trying to challenge. I am just trying to say that the challenge is neutral. Interpretation is what makes something crushing or manageable. Let's give an example, for instance. Somebody who wakes up in the morning, takes his bag, and starts to climb Mount Everest. You wake up in the morning and you decide that you're going to do, like me, 20 minutes on your treadmill. What's the difference? What's the difference? She said she was going to climb Mount Everest. She has heard, oh. People die up there, oh. He has heard. On top of Mount, on the peak of Mount Everest, there are lots of dead bodies that were not even recovered. He heard, oh, but he said, I must still do this. I must still do this daring thing. What is the difference? Somebody believes that she can do it, or he can do it. Somebody believes that I can jump out of a plane and call it what they call skydiving. Someone believes that she just needs to be on a chair, safe, her leg on the floor. Your mind is powerful. Someone believes that I can be anything that I want to be. I can grow, I can stretch. And someone believes that, oh, everything is hard. And then life becomes hard. And then you start to quarrel the life that became hard. But there was an inner authority that said, we only prove the stories that you tell us. We don't have a say. We don't know right from wrong. We don't know good from bad. There's a subconscious that tells a story, and we only prove that story. So look at this. Two women can live the same day. One feels defeated and the other one feels stretched but grounded. Like I said, motherhood will stretch you. But one feels defeated and says, I'm not crushing this thing called motherhood. Even the one who feels stretched but grounded may have failed even more than the one who feels defeated. But the mind, the subconscious, the inner seat, the authority tells her that you are grounded. So she stays grounded. The difference is not the child, it's the center, is where your command is coming from. So this inner seat of authority is simply this. It's the place inside of you that decides what story explains your life. When you are not aware of it, someone else installs the story. Who are the someone else that can install the story? It could be your culture, it could be your Facebook feeds, it could be your family, it could be other tired women who are tired of their marriage, women who are tired of their lives, women who are tired of everything, women who are tired of even being women who are just tired and just want to run away. It could be installed by that. It could be installed by social media. It could even be installed by religion, by where you worship. And when you live inside, and then you live inside conclusions you never consciously chose. What are you choosing unconsciously? Where are you placing yourself unconsciously? What stories are you living inside? We're going to do the last part, and we're going to see how we can reclaim this seat. Authority is not force. Authority is choice. Reclaiming the inner seat means asking, what story is currently interpreting my motherhood? Not what you posted, not what you said publicly. I remember I said that. It's not about what you say on the public. It's not about what you say, what you declare. When people ask you, say it is well, I am well. No, not that one. But the sentence that runs quietly in your head, on hard days. The sentence that runs quietly in your head on hard days. Because that's the sentence that is in charge. And as simple and as innocuous as this may sound, a lot of us have stories that are not great. A lot of us have stories that, spew out hardship, spew out discomfort, resentment. You don't understand why you're being resentful to your husband. You don't understand why, things are so hard for you. You don't understand so much. Spew it out. So this is what I will call the receipting practice. And I want you to go through these questions. What story am I living from about motherhood? Where did I learn this story? Be honest with yourself. Sit down, journal these points. How does this story make my body feel? As a mom, are you forever tensed? Tense jaw, tense shoulders, tense fist, tense legs, How does it make your body feel? Your children have not even come to ask you for something. You're already tensed. You don't understand why you're forever tensed. Oh, you guys have come again. You're stressing me out. Tensed. Ask yourself this question. Not to judge. Remember, we always say one of our mantras here is emotions or recognizing things that are happening to us is not for judgment. It's just to see is data. It's data that can be interpreted and it helps you to recalibrate and make your life better. How does this make my body feel? Is this story true or is it just familiar? Familiar stories also feel true because they are repeated, not because they are accurate. Something you've heard over and over again. It's not necessarily because they're accurate, it's just because they're familiar. So you've heard something so much. You've heard that men are bad, for instance, so much. Your brain starts to interpret every relationship as like that. So it starts to become true for you. But is it really true? Let's go on. Oh, I said 30 minutes and I'm already 10 minutes over. I'll be rounding off now. So, how do we install a healthier center? You don't replace the story with denial. It's not by denying. You replace it with honest truths. And that's why I said those points, you journal them honestly. It's not for condemnation. It's not to put blame on anyone. It's not to make anybody feel, it's not to make yourself feel bad. No. But it's not saying things like motherhood is not easy. That's just, that we all know. That's just being toxic positivity, as they call it. But you can say things like motherhood is demanding, but not destructive. I can surmount the challenges that motherhood brings. It's not like you should say things like I should enjoy every moment, but difficulty does not have to define the whole experience. Let's use the example of the woman who was traveling with a baby and the baby cried all through. Oh, she may feel like her whole trip is ruined. She may feel like her whole day is ruined. She may feel like the whole holiday is ruined. Oh, why did I go on this holiday? Why am I on this holiday with this screaming child? But a difficult situation does not also ruin the totality of the holiday. It doesn't. The difficulty of the situation is the difficulty of the situation. Pack it there and unpack it there. And let's move on to the next fun thing, right? Authority means allowing complex truths, but not allowing extreme conclusions. So you allow complex truths, but extreme conclusions, you stay away from it. You say, I hate it when people say all, like there are 6 billion people in this world or 7 billion or whatever number. And when you say all, you're telling me 7 billion. Come on, how did you get that authority figure? So there's no all, there's no extreme conclusions, there's no everybody. Who is everybody? What does everybody mean? Everybody is just a lame way to give an excuse to yourself not to move forward. It's a lame way. Find somebody who is doing it and model the example of them. So let's close. I'm just going to leave you with this, right? Your children are not the reason you feel overwhelmed. Your effort is not the problem. You're not doing too much, you're not doing too little. Your effort is not the problem. Your love is not the problem. What the problem is the story that is sitting inside your inner seat, deciding how everything feels. It's the story sitting inside the inner seat that decides how everything feels. Change who sits there, and the same life will feel very different. And that's what we do in our Becoming Her program. That's what we do. We help you to change this person who sits there, who feels overwhelmed, who feels unseen, who feels invisible, who feels dreadful about life. We help you change those stories. That's why you should join us in our cohort 3. Join us in our Becoming program. We're going to do these things deeper, do a deeper work. We do one-to-ones with you. We do group programs. We do group coaching. We do one-to-ones with you. We're there to hold your hands, not to judge you, not to make you feel smaller, not to make you feel stressed, not to make you feel, unloved. But we're there to show you what it means to change who sits there. Thank you so much for joining me on another Friday Live. Don't take your time for granted. The inner seat of authority is not about control. I'll end with that. It's about interpretation. And when interpretation changes, your actions naturally take a new direction. Thank you, and see you next Friday for another exciting episode, as my sister will call it, of another Friday Live. Thank you, and do have an amazing weekend.